All right, I believe everyone has joined, and so we'll get started. So first of all, thank you once again for everyone joining for today's webinar. And before we get started, I would like to go ahead and set up some ground rules. So at any point, if you have any questions, you could very well go ahead and type in the questions on the questions section, or we also have a raise hand feature where you could go ahead and click or request for a raise hand so that we would unmute you and you could go ahead and talk in the webinar. And apart from that, to let you know, this webinar is recorded, so at any point, if someone is missing the webinar, they could go ahead and request for an recorded copy, wherein we would be able to go ahead and send you the recorded copy. So, all right. So today's feature speaker would be Nagarajan. He's one of our senior quality analysts, and he would be giving you an overall view about the product. And today's agenda is we'll have a quick introduction about the company, then we're going to have a quick product overview, and then we're going to discuss about what's new in Vembu VMBackup 3.1.3 and Vembu OffsiteDR-Architecture, deployment scenarios, and disaster recovery scenarios. And the last is solutions offered by Vembu VMBackup, and at last we're going to have question and answer section. And to talk about Vembu Technologies, Vembu Technologies was founded in 2004, and it's a private company, and we've been profitable since 2006. And our office is headquarters in Chennai, India, and we currently have about 4,000 plus channel partners, and in turn we have reached out to 60,000 businesses. And our customer base is mostly based out of North America, where we have 70% of our customers and 20% from Europe, and the remaining 10% from Asia Pacific. And with that, we'll go to the introduction of the Vembu product. And now we'll have our quality analyst, Nagaraj, who would go ahead and discuss about in detail.
Thanks, Tyagarajan. Hello, good morning all. Myself, Nagarajan from Vembu Technologies. I'm in charge of quality assurance department for Vembu BDR suite. Let me go ahead and start the introduction of the product. So before we get into the the product section, I would like to clarify some of the major challenges faced by the IT administrators in terms of backup and disaster recovery. Okay, whenever we talk about backup and disaster recovery, these are all the questions the most of the IT administrators have in their mind. So how fast I can recover a data center during disaster? Okay, this is what the primary question. Okay, all about the backups. So it's useful when it is recoverable, when it actually recoverable. So and how fast you can recover the data in terms of disaster recovery. And also after disaster recovery, how you can make sure that you do not lose much data. Okay, so you have to make sure the RPOs. So this is the second immediate question for those IT administrators. And this one is most important thing. Say you may just configure the backups, and backups might be run automatically, but how can you make sure whether your backups are really bootable or recoverable during the disasters? So these three questions are most important questions which is raised by IT administrators during when selecting a backup and disaster recovery solution. So apart from that, there are some more points where they just think about, okay, these are all some additional options where they would like to get from a backup software. So they actually worry about a data growth. Okay, so say nowadays the data centers are growing. Typically a medium-sized IT administrator, a company is having more than 30 to 50 terabytes of data. So when they go for a backup and retention policies, they have to just make sure a huge number of storage arrays has to be dedicated for storage purpose alone. So how they can make sure the data is unwanted data is actually stored, or how they can actually manage those data growth. And another one more thing is, say every day they may come across a lot of plans where they have to make sure upgrade system, where they have to increase the memory, they have to increase CPUs, and they have to check whether the application actually works well with that particular test scenarios. Okay, this is an add-on service given by Vembu at free of cost, where they can just start the backed up machines, whether it may be a virtual or physical, okay? And they can make sure whether these particular, I mean, they just upgrade the memory and everything on the virtual environment, and they can just run the applications for test purposes. Once they are satisfied, they can just perform the actual migration for the production machines. And the next thing, what we are provide as add-on service, the migration plans. Okay, most of the IT administrators might have plan to migrate the physical machines into virtual environments, whereas to a VMware ESXi host or a Microsoft Hyper-V servers. Okay, or else in case if a customer would like to move a VM from a VMware or a VMware to Hyper-V or Hyper-V to VMware. Okay, we do have a solution for all those things. So let me explain everything one by one. Okay, before we get into these type of questions, we should aware of what is RPO and RTO. Recovery time objective is nothing but how fast you can actually recover a backed up machine. Okay, it may be a virtual or physical. So Vembu actually provide you option to boot the machine instantly, so within less than a minute, but we actually promise industry standard less than 50 minutes RTO for the customers. Also for RPO, we provide once in 15 minutes backups, so you can make sure the recovery point objective as 15 minutes. Okay, you might during after the recovery you might lose 5 to 10 minutes worth of data. So make sure you get less than 15 minutes RPO and RTO with the Vembu BDR suite. Okay, when we talk about how fast you can recover your data center during the disaster. Okay, we actually provide the instant virtual machine recovery within 60 seconds. If you have enough resource on your backup server and you have a high-end configuration on your backup server, you can instantly boot those backed up virtual machines within a minute, and you can just start working on those machines. All those modifications will be stored as a separate virtual file, and those persistent copies can be used to recover when your production servers are up and running. In case if you don't want to retain them, you can just terminate those persistent copies. Also, you can perform instant file level recoveries and instant granular recoveries for Microsoft Exchange, SharePoint, SQL, and Active Directory. We provide separate utilities for granular recovery purposes where you can just use them at the free of cost. And when we talk about recovery point objective, as I said earlier, we support automated backups and replication scheduling, and you can just choose the backup frequencies from 15 minutes or 30 minutes or every hour, or you can even run the backups daily or weekly. It's up to you. Based on the RPO policies, you can select those frequencies. Based on your frequencies, the backups will be automatically triggered. So by using these particular options, you can assure your customers or your data centers with less than 15 minutes of RPO. Then all of them are image level backups. You can make sure you don't lose any data during the backup job. And as I said, the third point where we talk about how can I rely on my backup job, we provide automated backup verifications where you can actually schedule setup to run the backup verifications daily or after completing a backup job. The backed up virtual machines or physical machines will be automatically booted on the backup server, and a screenshot will be taken and it will be stored in the backup server console. You can just navigate to the backup server user interface, and you can just check the reports, and you can make sure whether the backed up machine is successfully booted or not. And in terms of storage growth, we actually use our own file system, which is VembuHIVE file system. We have submitted the patent for this particular file system. It's developed in-house. Say by using this file system, you can make sure the version control, and it actually has inbuilt compression, deduplication, and encryption. It also has inbuilt error correction. Since this is a file system, you no need to worry about the target, whether you may choose NAS, SAN, or directly attached storage, or you may have a combinations of these three storage environments. And Also, you may have a different size of disks. You can just add all those all of them in the repositories, and it may be any file systems. Like it may be have one disk may have a NTFS file system, another disk may have a REFS file system or XFS file system, EXT. You can just combine them. You can just add them on the storage repositories. VembuHIVE file system actually applies file system on top of existing file system. So the backed up data will be further encrypted and compressed by the file system, and it will be stored on those storage repositories. And when storing the data, as I said, it's completely encrypted. You cannot even hack a name of the file or even the data. Okay, it's completely encrypted by using industry standard AES encryption algorithm. As well as since it's our own file system, Vembu backup server is the only application which actually manages or which actually restore the data by reading those file systems. And as I said, there are add-on services we are providing where you can just create a virtual lab. Okay, when we talk about virtual lab, actually it has a lot of usabilities and it has features, but in terms of our software, we actually provide a setup where you can just boot those backed up machines virtually. Okay, without running any restore operations. You can just directly boot them by reading the storage repositories, and you can run any kind of test where you can just increase the memory of those virtual machines, or just you can just change the CPUs, and you can just upgrade the operating system, or you can upgrade the applications, and you can just run a test environment for a couple of days. Once you are satisfied, you can just upgrade your production servers. Okay, so to run this type of virtual lab, you no need to, no need to invest any additional cost on the hardware or software. So this is one of the add-on service what we are giving by using our Vembu Media suite of products. And another important point is a migration plan where you can just migrate your physical servers, which may be a Windows XP or Windows 2003 or even Windows 2012 servers or Windows 2008 R2. You can just configure, you can just install Vembu VMBackup proxy on those machines, and you can run full backup image backups to the Vembu Media backup. So once the backup job completes, it actually creates a VHT or VHTX file for all those backup jobs. By using them, you can just migrate, you can just put those images on Hyper-V, or you can use, it will actually create another VMDK file as well. You can use those files to instantly boot them on Hyper-V or VMware environment. So by doing this, you can migrate a physical machine onto virtual environment with a lesser downtime. Okay, these are all the challenges and the solutions what we are providing so far, and let me just cover about the products what we are offering. Okay, for the backup and disaster recovery purpose, we are offering Vembu Media suite of products where you can use Vembu VMBackup to backup the VMware virtual machines and Hyper-V virtual machines, and you can use image backups to backup physical Windows servers, desktops, and laptops. And also some of the customers would like to backup, do perform a granular level backups like selected files and folders, and selected applications like MS Exchange, SQL, SharePoint, or Outlook, or MySQL databases. And we do have another product called the Vembu Online Backup, where customers would like to directly backup to our cloud, where we are running our servers on Amazon Web Services across all continents. Okay, let us focus on VM backup for this particular webinar. Say, as I said earlier, it caters the need of the data centers, which is having VMware and Hyper-V and physical servers like Windows servers, desktops, and laptops. Okay, to back up VMware, we use agentless option where we use vStorage API and VDK, so we can just back up without injecting any proxy inside the ESXi host. Also, we do provide a host level backup for Microsoft Hyper-V, and we do support backup solution. We do provide backup solution for Windows servers and desktops and laptops. Okay, all those backups are performed with application hour processing, where you can make sure the the applications installed inside a VM or physical machine like a Microsoft Exchange, SQL, SharePoint, and AD. So it makes sure the consistency of the application. If in case if the consistency is not good, the backup job will be failed and you will be notified based on those reports. And it also would truncate the log after successful backups. Okay, this is what I have to focus on. Say what's new in Vembu VMBackup version 3.1.3. Okay, we have recently released a patch over Vembu version 3.1.0. Okay, with this patch, we actually introduced another new service called the Vembu OffsiteDR. Okay, this is the most important service. Most of our customers actually looking for this particular service where they can backup their data from their Vembu BDR backup server to another site. Say the customers would like to keep multiple copies of backup data, and they would like to keep them in a separate, different data centers. In case if they are having their data on primary data center and they would like to replicate those data to secondary data center. Okay, for this purpose, we actually designed Vembu OffsiteDR service. So all you need to do is you have to install a Vembu OffsiteDR application on your remote site, and you can just point all your Vembu BDR backup servers to that particular site. Okay, you may have multiple sites, and you may have multiple Vembu BDR backup servers running on each site. Okay, all those data will be replicated to a single Vembu OffsiteDR server, which is running on another site. Okay, the data will be immediately synced from the primary repository after completing a backup job, and you can control the schedules and also the bandwidth. Okay, so you can just set up the bandwidth to replicate a backup. Since everything is going to be transferred over WAN, so you can just control the bandwidth. How much bandwidth the replication, the offset copy job has to be used. And as well, say what are all the options you are having with the Vembu BDR backup servers during the disaster. You can have all those options enabled for Vembu OffsiteDR servers as well. So in case if your entire site went down, site 1 went down, you can just instantly boot the site 1 on the site 2 by using OffsiteDR server. You can perform instant VM recovery, instant file level recovery, instant granular recovery, so for Exchange, SharePoint, SQL databases. And the restore, you can even permanently restore a virtual machine or a physical machine on your secondary sites. Also, once your site is restored, you can actually rebuild the entire Vembu BDR backup server from the Vembu OffsiteDR server. Okay, let me just show you the architecture of the Vembu OffsiteDR servers. Over here, you see there is a location. This is called Vembu OffsiteDR server. Okay, which have a storage repository attached with. Okay, all your backups, it may be physical or virtual or Hyper-V backups, has to be backed up by using Vembu VMBackup proxy to Vembu BDR backup server. And immediately it will actually send offset copy to your location. Okay, you may have optional option to send to our cloud. In case if you would like to send it to your cloud, you can just skip this particular step. Okay, so you can directly send the data to your cloud by using Vembu OffsiteDR service. So by doing this, you can have two copies of your backup data, okay, where you have a primary copy on your primary repository and a secondary copy on your secondary repository across other sites. So as I said, in case if a VM is, if your entire site went down on the site 1, you can just instantly boot them, and you can provide disaster recovery as a service where you can instantly boot the site 1 on your DR site, and you can provide access to those machines to your employees. Okay, they can just start by accessing those machines by using remote connections. Okay, these are all the key points when we talk about the Vembu OffsiteDR. Okay, it instantly transfer the backed up data from the primary repository, and it allows you to set up a disaster recovery server. Okay, so you may It's about, okay, so you may have set up the Vembu OffsiteDR server in your primary location as well. Say some customers would like to keep multiple copies in the same data centers itself. Okay. For this particular solution, you may keep the OffsiteDR server in your primary site as well. Okay, so you can have two different copies, and uh, you can actually perform recoveries by using those copies. Okay, and the Vembu OffsiteDR server accepts backup data from multiple Vembu BDR backup servers. Okay, there are no limits. All you need to do is you should have enough resources as to be dedicated for Vembu OffsiteDR server. So you can rebuild the Vembu BDR backup server from the secondary storage repositories, and you can actually offer DR as a service and a backup as a service by using this OffsiteDR server. Okay, so the OffsiteDR server can be installed on a physical machine or a virtual machine. It's all depends upon your network. I mean, your requirements. Say, in case if you have huge number of loads going to be received to the Vembu OffsiteDR server, we recommend you to run the OffsiteDR server on a physical machine, Windows machine, where you can actually provide the DR as a service. In case if it might be a small scale server, you can just run them on any virtual machines. Also, we do provide applications for both the Windows and Linux. So it's about deployment, as I informed you earlier, like you may install it on a physical machine or virtual machine. It's all about the size of the environment. Okay, so you make sure, say, if you would like to provide a disaster recovery as a service, and if you would like to perform instant recoveries, I recommend you to go for a physical server on your disaster recovery site. Okay, this is a typical deployment scenario where actually you install OffsiteDR server in your secondary site, and you back up the data from a primary storage repository to a secondary repository over LAN or WAN. It's up to you. So in case if you would like to keep multiple copies in your data center itself, primary data center itself, you may set up the OffsiteDR server on your primary server, primary site itself, or else you can perform the offsite copy to over WAN. Okay, we use TCP protocols to transfer the data, so you have to make sure the port 32004 is actually opened in the firewall in order to transfer the data over WAN connections. And this is a remote office branch office setup where customers would like to sync data between each and every sites. Say they might have two different sites or three different sites where they would like to keep a copy of backup data across all sites. Okay, in this typical scenario, what I recommend is to install a Vembu BDR backup server and a Vembu OffsiteDR servers in each sites. Okay. Over here, you see the data from the Vembu BDR server from site 1 is actually sent to the OffsiteDR server, which is running on site 2. And the data, backup data from primary repository on site 2 is sent over to the OffsiteDR server, which is running on site 1. Okay, by doing this, you can keep the data, I mean, say the site 1's data on site 2 and the site 2's data on site 1. In case if any one of your site went down completely, you can just boot them instantly, and you can start running your service from any one of those sites. And this particular setup is for cloud service providers. Say most of the cloud service providers would like to offer service. I mean, like a backup as a service or disaster recovery as a service by deploying the servers on their site. Okay, so for those customers, we provide Vembu OffsiteDR server with load balancing options, where you can actually run the Vembu OffsiteDR servers in clustered environment. You may have multiple machines with specific hardware and software, I mean, say requirements. And say, once your business grows, you can actually add additional servers with the existing servers. So it will actually load balance the request from your customer site. So also you can provide a disaster recovery as a service when your customer site went down. You can just instantly boot, or you can permanently recover them to your hypervisors, and you can provide access to those servers to your customers. Okay, these are all the deployment scenarios. Let me just move to disaster recovery. Okay, meanwhile, guys, if you have any queries, say you can just feel free to ask it. You have an open chat session. Our experts, we are having the engineers available to answer your queries. So in case if you have queries, you can ask them right away. Okay, let me move to the disaster recovery scenarios. Okay, in this particular disaster recovery scenarios, you may see there is a VM actually down, a backed up VM down on the VMware vSphere host. In case it may be a VM from a VMware or a VM from a Hyper-V, or it may be a physical server or desktop. Okay, it can be instantly booted on the from the primary storage repository, or you can even instantly boot them from a secondary storage repository, which is actually attached with the Vembu OffsiteDR server. In case your entire site is down with the Vembu VMBackup backup server, you can boot all those virtual machines instantly, immediately on a Vembu OffsiteDR server, and you can provide access to those machines to your customers by using remote desktop connections. And the modifications, as I said earlier, everything will be keep in the storage repository. So those persistent copies can be used to during the recovery process. Say if their production environment is back to the business, they can restore those modifications along, I mean, the backup data along with those modifications to the original machines. In case if they don't want to retain those modifications, they can actually skip it, or they can terminate it from the storage repositories as well. And as I said, I mean, there are, I mean, say Vembu is the only solution, only backup software vendor providing the recovery options. I mean, a wide range of recovery options where you may backup VM from VMware, or a virtual machine from Hyper-V, or it may be a physical Windows servers or desktops or laptops. You can instantly boot all those machines in VMware ESXi host, or a Microsoft Hyper-V server, or even Ubuntu KVM environment. Okay, so you may say, in case if you are not going for Windows operating systems, we go for a Ubuntu 12.0 or a 14.04 operating system, and you may have an option to enable a hypervisor called KVM. You can instantly boot VM on the KVM as well. Okay, again, as I said, it may be a VM from a VMware or a Hyper-V, or it may be a physical service. Irrespective of the source data, it can be instantly booted on any of those hypervisors. And in case if you would like to permanently restore all those VMs on any environments, like say some customers would like to migrate a virtual machine or physical machine from site 1 to site 2, they can actually use this particular option. Okay, you can perform the recoveries, like say the backed up virtual machine can be permanently restored to the servers running on the secondary site. Okay, it may be a Hyper-V or a VMware or KVM. You can just select those options. You can restore it to the hypervisors. And apart from that, we do have options to instantly recover the files. You can just with a single click you can recover the files, and you can even restore the exchange mailboxes, or email, even exchange mails, or SQL databases, or the Active Directory users. Okay, and the documents from SharePoint. Okay, all those granular recoveries are supported, and we do provide free tools for those all those granular recoveries. Okay, and we use our own proprietary the drivers to perform this type of recoveries. Okay, so it's a lightweighted application where you have to install the application on your any one of your Windows machine, and you can just access the backed up machines storage location. I mean the where you have the EDB file, or where you have the SQL database files, you can just access them and you can perform granular recoveries. So within minutes you can perform those recoveries. And apart from this, okay, in case if you would like to perform a bare metal recovery from the OffsiteDR server, as it is also available, we provide the recovery CDs where you can use those recovery CDs and you can perform bare metal recovery to a physical machine from the OffsiteDR server itself. Okay, okay, these are all the new features of what we have released in Vembu version 3.1. And so normally you see, I mean, apart from this, we actually offer other solutions as well. Okay, we would like to cover all those here. Okay, in terms of Vembu VMBackup, is actually exclusively designed for the data center IT administrators, where they actually run virtual machines on VMware and Hyper-V, and they have some physical servers and desktops. Okay, say in terms of VMware backup and replications, okay, you may select multiple VMs in a single backup job, and also we support to backup the ESXi host, or you may actually select the vCenter and backup all those ESXi hosts attached with those vCenters in a single shot. We support ESXi version 4.0 and above, and we support vCenter servers 4.1 and above. And even during the replication of VMs to target ESXi host, you may have option to select IP and network remapping as well. So this is a typical architecture of a VMware backup. Okay, the Vembu VMBackup proxy actually read the data from the vCenter or ESXi host, and it send the data to the Vembu VDA backup servers storage repository. Okay, while transferring the data, I mean, it's on the fly. It actually compressed and the data is encrypted. Okay, even though it is transferred to the LAN, again it is compressed and encrypted to transfer it quickly to the LAN environment. Okay, and while storing the data on the storage repositories, additionally it will be deduplicated. So you may see up to 40 to 60 percentage of storage reduction after transferring the data to the VMware backup servers. And we do provide VM replication for VMware virtual machines, where you can select a VM. Say you may have some business critical servers, and you may not afford to keep more downtime for those virtual machines. Okay, for those types of VMs, you can choose a VM replication so that you can make sure the high availability for those VMs. So all you need to do is you have to select a VM from a source hypervisor. It may be a vCenter or it may be a ESXi host, and you can just replicate them to directly to a ESXi host. When the production server actually down, you can just instantly put them on your target ESXi host. And in terms of Hyper-V backup, we offer host level Hyper-V backup where you have to install the Vembu VMBackup proxy on the Hyper-V host. Okay, you no need to install the agent on each virtual machines. Okay, all you need to do is you have to just install the host agent, I mean the proxy on the host, and it backs up all those VMs listed on that particular Hyper-V servers. In case if you are having a Microsoft Hyper-V cluster, you need to install the agent on each host, and you have to back up all those VMs from the Hyper-V host. And we do, I mean, after the full backup, again, it will be a pure incremental. We do develop our own proprietary driver to track the changed blocks. Okay, unlike a VMware backup. Okay, when we talk about the VMware backup, VMware himself actually providing APIs, vStorage API and VDDK API to track the full backup data or incremental data, and it actually provide the changed blocks during the incremental backups. But with Microsoft Hyper-V, actually we developed our own proprietary driver. That's why we are actually leading in this particular backup option. I bet you on the incremental job, so you may see better transfer rate when compared to any other vendors, those who are providing Hyper-V backups. Okay, during the incremental, it will be much faster than any other vendors in the industry. And application aware processing. So as I said, we offer application aware processing for all the backup types. Like it may be a physical machine or it may be a virtual machine running on a VMware or a Hyper-V. Okay, this is a typical architecture of Hyper-V backup where the agent, the Vembu VMBackup proxy, actually read the data from the Hyper-V host and it send the data to the Vembu media backup server. Okay, while transferring again, the data will be compressed and encrypted, and while storing the data on the storage repository, it will be further deduped to provide you better storage reductions. And again, we are currently developing replication functionalities for Microsoft Hyper-V virtual machines. It will be available in our upcoming releases. Okay, I will cover Hyper-V replication in a separate webinar where we can talk about a lot about the Hyper-V replications alone. Okay, and we provide backup solution for Microsoft Windows physical servers, desktops, and laptops. Again, Vembu VM backup proxy has to be installed on each machines, and it will be backed up over LAN. And while sending the data over LAN, again it will be compressed and encrypted. And while storing the data further, it will be deduplicated. And to track the changed blocks, we use our own proprietary driver where I'm again the incremental will be much faster when compared with any other vendor. And apart from that, we offer desktops and laptops backup free of cost. The other advantages are, say, as I said, we provide CBT, I mean, change block tracking during incremental for all those backup types. So it may be a VMware backup or Hyper-V backup or a physical machine image backup. You get pure incremental. So we apply changed blocks. Okay, the changes only will be sent to the backup servers. And we provide two types of retention where you can by default you provide option to select the basic retention. Okay, by choose this particular retention option, we run 4-hour incremental backups in case if you would like to keep lost 7 days of restore points, or lost 1 month of restore points, or you may keep lost 90 days of restore points. And after that, the incremental will be run for 4 hours. So at any point in time, you can have lost 90 days of recovery points for that particular backup job. But normally we recommend the customers to run a full backup once in 3 months to keep, to get a better recovery options. And the next retention policy is much advanced, which is grandfather, father, son merge concepts, where the incrementals will be merged. Say hourly incremental will be merged daily basis, and daily incremental will be merged weekly basis, and the weekly incrementals will be merged on a monthly basis. So after a period, you can have recovery points based on monthly, weekly, and daily copies. Okay, so to get this particular retention option, you make sure you have enough storage, because you are going to retain more number of recovery points for that particular backup job. So to avail this particular retention option, you should have enough storage as to be dedicated for that particular backup job. And again, the application hour option, it check the consistency of the Microsoft applications such as Exchange, SharePoint, and Active Directory, and the SQL database as well. And it actually truncate the logs of successful backups. So after completing a successful backup, it truncate those logs. Okay, and apart from that, say managing the backup or replication jobs, say we provide automatic backup schedules, so you can just schedule the backup frequencies, and you can just leave it. All Vembu VMBackup proxy take care of rest of those things. It will automatically triggers the backup in case if you don't want to run a backup job over weekends or non-working hours, you may skip those times. Okay. And in case if you would like to limit the bandwidth for that particular backups, you can actually set up the throttling, and also you can have an option to run multiple full backups. Okay, guys, these are all from my side. So if you have any questions, we can. I will answer your queries right now. Tyagarajan, thanks for your session. You can take over from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Natarajan. And so we have some couple of questions posted by our attendees. So to get started, one of the question that was asked was Offsite DR server can host backup replication from multiple BDR server.
Oh yes, absolutely. You may have multiple BDR backup servers replicate the data to a same OffsiteDR servers. It is absolutely supported.
All right, and the next one would be how many virtual guest machines can we concurrently perform instant virtual machine recovery with Hyper-V?
Okay, it's to run multiple virtual machines during the recovery process. There are no limits. All you need to make sure is you have enough resource available on those hypervisor or the backup server. In case if you are having a native Hyper-V running on the backup server itself, you should make sure you have enough RAM available on those machines. That's it. We don't have any limitations. You may run hundreds of VMs during the recoveries.
Okay, the next one would be how can we estimate the space needed for
Okay.
need.
Okay, I understood. The space estimation, okay, we are actually working on a calculator where you can just input your policies where if you would like to run the backup job, okay, size of the virtual machine or physical machine, and what is the modification, average modification every day, and the retention policies, what you want to keep, and additional full backup. So once you enter all those things, we automatically calculate and we actually provide a approximate, okay, near to approximate size you have to dedicate it for a backup server. Okay, so we will be working on those calculator and it will be available by next week.
Okay, the last and final question would be like, do we support Apple Macs disk image backups?
Okay, as of now, we do not have any option to perform a disk image backup for Mac. We provide file level backups for Mac, so you can use Vembu Network Backup, which is actually dedicated for to perform file level backups on the iMac laptops or servers.
Okay, and apart from that, we have some other couple of questions available. So what we would do is like once we end this session, we would be sending out an email with regards to whatever questions that has been posted, and we would let you know, or we would be providing you all the answers with regards to this. And with that, as I told you earlier, we have this webinar recorded. So at any point, if you would like to have a recorded copy, you could either visit our website, wherein you could have a clear, you could have each and everything clearly explained on the website, or you could even dial into a toll-free number which is available on the screen right now. Or if you would like to send us an email or drop us an email, you could just send an email to vembu-sales@vembu.com or vembu-support@vembu.com. All right, and once again, I would like to thank everyone for joining this session, and we would see you next week. Thank you.